the last week, I just drove across Canada, about 47 hours, finally in the Maritimes, in New Brunswick and Nova Scotia for the next 4 weeks, speaking in schools, visiting family and friends. And a big thing that I've learned on these big road trips and just all the traveling that I've done in my life is that it really is not about the destination, it really is about the journey. And it doesn't matter really where you're going, it's all about how you get there and what you do on the way. And a few months ago, I started listening to Anderson Cooper's podcast called All There Is. And it's about grief. It's very powerful, and I really connect with Anderson because he lost his mother. He was a lot older than I was when he lost his mother. I was 18 years old when my mother died, and a big reason I'm good at Frisbee is because that was how I grieved for my mom. And it's something I don't talk about in schools. Typically, I don't have a lot of time when I do assemblies, and in the workshops, it's just not something that I've worked in. And maybe that's an excuse. Maybe that's an excuse I give myself is I don't talk about it because I don't have time, but it's my time. When I talk in schools, I can say whatever I want. I can share whatever messaging I want. And so I think a big part of me has been hiding behind that grief, and I try to be authentic with everything I do. And how can you be truly authentic if you don't talk about one of the most important moments in my life? And it's interesting to think about the death of somebody who's so close to you as important, because important is a positive connotation, and we think of death as a really terrible and negative thing, and it is. But I also am grateful for the time that I had with my mom, and we don't know how long we get with people. I had 18 years with my mom, and it wasn't long enough. There's other people that'll have 70 or 80 years with their loved ones, and that's still not enough. And I think it's a big thing I've learned over the last 14 years competing with dogs is the same thing. You don't know how long you get with dogs, and you have to be grateful for those moments you have because you never know when they're gone. And so having the perspective of losing my mom, I'm able to live a much fuller life now because of that. And so I can be grateful for my mom's death because it's given me a new perspective on life, but I have to also understand that I can't hide behind that. I can't just pretend it didn't happen. I can't pretend like the reason I'm good at Frisbee is just because I practiced or I played a lot of sports. And one thing I've said to myself is I don't want kids to get emotional. That's one of the reasons that I don't talk about that in my assemblies is what if kids haven't gone through that? But I really think that there is something valuable that I can share with kids. Like, one thing I say is we're setting kids up for failure by not letting them fail, whether that's in school or sports or life in general. And so if I really believe in that message, then I need to be more open and authentic with kids as well. Because kids have lost, will lose people close to them. And if you can equip them with tools before that happens, then they'll live a much fuller life. If I would have known that I had a limited time with my mom, I would have cherished those moments more. And so isn't that a gift that I can pass on to the people? I like to think so. And I recently shared something on Instagram. One of the episodes with Anderson Cooper was with Andrew Garfield, who lost his mother. And there was a moment where it's like his spirit, he said, took over him, and he walked into the ocean. And he said it wasn't even his own words. And there was a line he said where sons have been losing their mothers for thousands and thousands of years, and now you're just coming into that awareness. And it's true. It's natural and normal, I guess, for kids to lose their parents because they will outlive their parents. And it doesn't matter how young you are or old you are. It's important to be grateful for that time. And so I think it's important that I talk about it more. I think it's important that I figure out how to bring that message into schools, and it needs to happen because that is part of who I am, and I can't shelter kids from that. They don't. It's not that kids shouldn't be faced with difficult things. It's just that they should be equipped to deal with difficult things, and I think a lot of times we're not equipping them properly. We're just putting things on them that they shouldn't have to have put on them, and they're just meant to figure it out, and that's not how we as adults are meant to raise kids. We're meant to support them and be there for them and be the coach or be the adult or be the parent, be the teacher. And if I'm a coach, if I'm an adult in these kids' lives, I need to be better at equipping them with tools. And so I had a really nice visit tonight with one of my mom's longest friends, Kathy Floyd, who big golfer, big curler, pretty special person. And one thing I realized as well over the last decade, I guess, is that I have been neglecting family and friends a lot. And one of the benefits of my job is that I get to travel anywhere I want and see anybody I want. And so it was really nice to spend time with Kathy and her friend Mary and her mom. And that's part of my life. If I want to build a legacy, if I want to do good in this world, it needs to come from the people that taught me those lessons. And it means a lot to spend time with those people that were a part of that life. My life. I mean, it's ongoing. It's not like it was an old life. I've learned, I've lived, I've grown. And yeah, today was very special. So I was at a school, Stanley Consolidated School, K-12. There was about 250 kids, and I only had time for 3 workshops plus the assembly, and so they ended up randomly choosing kids to come to the workshops. And so I had, I think, 4 or 5 grades per workshop and about 3 kids per grade, and that was really cool. And then after the assembly, I had a teacher come up and said, "Hey, Rob, do you remember me?" And kind of looked familiar, but not really. And apparently we played the Parley Beach Ultimate Frisbee tournament together 14 years ago. So it's just very cool to run into people that I spent the whole weekend playing Frisbee with him and I don't remember him. And I meet a lot of people. A big part of that was I did not sleep a lot during my 20s and 30s. I would stay up really, really late. And something I've learned by reading and listening to a lot of podcasts, especially the book Why We Sleep, is that sleep is super important not only for memory but also for testosterone growth. A lot of our, 95% of testosterone is actually produced during your sleep. Big part of recovery as well, but a huge part of sleep is converting short-term to long-term memory. So if you're living in a day and you stay up late and then you don't get a good sleep, a lot of those memories from that day do not get converted into long-term memory and they go away. And so when I think back to my 20s and 30s, there's a lot of things I don't remember. And I think it's because I didn't sleep enough. And I think there's a lot of people, I think especially men, who are not sleeping properly. And it's affecting testosterone, it's affecting memory. And these are not good things. So it's not that sleep is only for old people and staying up late is for young people and it's cool. I thought it was cool and it's not cool. I'm realizing now just how important sleep is. One of the most important things you can do for your health. And especially when I'm on the road, it's a huge part of my recovery. It's a huge part of my health, is making sure that I'm getting as close to 8 hours sleep as possible. And with technology, with my work, it can be a challenge sometimes, but it is important to prioritize that. It's less time in a day to do other things, but when you're doing those other things and you've had enough sleep, you're actually more productive, and that's really, really important. So if you've gone through loss, if you are going through loss, or if you've yet to experience loss, I think it's a pretty powerful and beautiful podcast to listen to. So again, it's called Anderson Cooper, All There Is, and definitely recommend checking it out.